Angela would have to take me with her, and she would cut out of school or be smoking in the schoolyard, and then I would go home. Of course, I was 6 years younger than her, and I would tell my mother, Angela's smoking.
And listen, not everybody's going to agree with my decision. I can give a fuck less. You're in that position, it's you who got to face it, then you do what you need to do.
Little Changolini, he gets to the jail and
steal cars from Maryland and take them to Delaware to a chop shop.
The inside prison in Thailand, as well as what Victor Malarek, the reporter, did to get me out of there.
And I sat down and thought about it for the longest time. Okay, but once I made up my mind, it was about survival. I need to take care of my kids and take care of my family. And when a guy's not being loyal to you, how could you be loyal to him?
Welcome to Chattin with Staxx. Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Robert LaSardo. Is there anything you would do different if you came into the industry right now, being a fresh person? Is there anything you would do different coming into the industry?
Well, here's the thing, Bill, with respect to the question, it's a great question, man. It's a dangerous question, though, because it opens the door for regret. And I don't regret. I believe in karma to some degree, that it's my own doing and everything is supposed to happen the way it did, or else we wouldn't be having the conversation we're having. And I hope that someone can come away with learning something anything from me, maybe not. So I don't know if doing anything different would make much of a difference. But just to play devil's advocate with it, I'd say that I'd be much more. I would definitely pay close attention to the people that represent me. The people that I would have been more. I think I would suggest to anybody who has a business sense or who's more can be pragmatic about how deals are made, understand all this stuff. Because I was so naive, man. I was just so happy to be or grateful to be working. I didn't consider the other aspect of things, the lie, the lying by omission, the manipulation, all this stuff, that the agents do and the managers do, and how cutthroat it can be. I learned later what that was, but I didn't know. So if I could do anything different, I would have definitely gone back. If I go back into time, I'd say, I would have fired a lot of my agents. I would have told them, listen, don't ever tell me what I can and cannot do. We're going to take this, that producer at ABC wants me on his show, we're taking it. And if you don't like it, fine, then I'll just fire you. So I would have been much more aggressive and respectful by telling them, look, I appreciate where you're coming from and your opinion, but at the end of the day, it's my life, it's my career, it's your money you're taking out of my pocket, man, by ruining relationships with people that like me. And so I would say that I would definitely keep a real close eye, like Johnny Cash said in the song. I keep a careful eye on this heart of mine. I keep a careful eye on this heart of mine, and keep a careful eye on the people, man, that are making decisions that can ruin your career or stifle it or slow it down or do any number of things. That's what I would change. That's about it, though. I wouldn't change anything else because it made me whatever the hell I am.
Yeah, man. I mean, sometimes some managers can hold projects back and not let them know about certain things. I'm not really sure about how it all works behind the scenes, but I've dealt with some people, and they got over on me.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to, like I said, to just let it ride, man. You just get over it. And thoughts arise, feelings come up, and just sit back, and they lie, because those thoughts sometimes lie to you. Even if they're correct, they're still, whether positive or negative, you got to kind of be like the Buddha and sit there and just watch it, look at it, and let it just go away like a storm. And the compliments too, positive and negative. I think it's important to just sit back and look at both of them, and just find some kind of place that's calm. And then from there, maybe, you get clarity. And like a still waters reflect something and give you insight. So you can just do your work, and not get caught up in the hoopla. and or the don't what they back in the day they say, don't believe the hype, don't believe your own hype, don't believe other people's hype, just focus on the sheer discipline of the work ethic and what's required as an artist, and do your work for the love of it. Not everybody's motivated that way. People motivated for a whole host of reasons, but that's their trip.
Yeah. So I have a question right there. Hey, Mom. She's crushing a bag. I can hear it's really loud. Hey, Mom. She heard me. With all the movies that you've been a part of, I noticed that you're directing a movie now? You're getting into the directing aspect of things?
Yes, I have. Mm-hmm. I directed a film called American Trash. We're in post-production now, editorial. So the movie's completed. I'm just doing all the techniques, the sound, the color.
So what's it been like to be to change over from acting to being a person who creates the story and being the other end of the camera?
Well, on the creative end of it, it's liberating, because you give yourself freedom to grow as an artist, because sometimes the people that write stuff for you don't always allow you that room. And so I felt like I wanted to tell a story, a love story, with other elements that I felt were honest, and give an honest performance in relationship to things that matter to me. They say write what you know. And so I just wrote about what I know. And so I wanted to write a story about love and transcendence, a spiritual story, also in the midst of chaos. Los Angeles is falling into ruin. We're living in like Charlie Manson's helter-skelter world, the idea of the confusion, the chaos, the riots and the plague of COVID and everything, and a social commentary about how the city went from California dreaming back in the day, it was this beautiful oasis, 40s, 50s, up into the 60s, revolution, all that, and then just kind of deteriorated into what it is now, and how the environment is also become so polluted, the water, the area. So I wanted to make a movie that deals with like a social commentary about pollution and our responsibility to that as people and community, and how do we deal with one another, and what's happening to our worlds, and what's happening in our relationships, and what's happening. I just wanted to make something socially relevant, without preaching, without judgment, without necessarily a message, just to feel like I wasn't betraying myself. I wanted to be still, I guess, yearn to be what my teachers taught, which is to be an artist and create things that are not indicative of a patterning that people become accustomed to. I want to get away from a comfort zone of predictability in terms of my work, and move into an area where you don't get to see someone like me, I guess, whatever that means, be in a situation like this. So I wrote it, financed it, hired some people that I felt and still feel that were appropriate for those roles, and just made it happen. Because you can wait, you wait multiple lifetimes if you wait for them to come knock on your door and say, hey, we're going to give you the role of a lifetime, or something that you feel is a tribute to your ability. They don't always respond to what you're capable of. They just give you what they give you. And you have to just, like I said earlier, you have to just be grateful for the work. But there comes a point, at least for me there did, where I was like, I feel like a fraud now, man. I feel like there's so much more as an artist that I'm capable of that I have not been allowed to demonstrate. So why should I wait for them? Why don't I, grow a pair and stand up and fight for what I want? And it doesn't mean I'm trying to make some money or become famous or win an award. It's nothing like that. It's just simply an artist's desire to grow, to share, to collaborate, to make something, to build something. If you're a painter, you want to paint, you just paint. But if they tell you can only paint this, or you can only paint, 1 through 4, and you got 100 ideas, what about the rest, man? I got all this other stuff I want to paint. You can't do that. Someone else we're going to hire to do that. You don't look the type to do that. You look the type to do this. So I just what motivated me was, that liberating sensibility. I had to liberate myself. So at least I know I tried. Forget about the result, man. You drive yourself crazy with approval and people's judgments. All you can do is just step on up. Say, I wrote a script. I wrote the damn thing. I'm going to produce the damn thing with my own money. I'm going to take the biggest risk of my life, take my whole life savings throw it against the wall, and see what happens, man. And it's been my experience throughout my life. It's been nothing but risk taken. The whole life has been nothing but just jumping off cliffs, leaps of faith, and hoping, that I can fly, I guess, to wherever I need to go.
How long was it from when you first started writing the story until you started producing?
I don't know. It's hard to say, man. I'm bad with stuff like that. I would say the story took me about it was just channeling, man. Once I had the idea and I saw something that stimulated my imagination. One day I was sitting in my car on the PCH looking at some people throwing trash on the ground, and it just came to me, man. And so I'd say I wrote the thing in maybe 6 months. Took me less than 6 months to write it. And then when we started filming, I pulled a Stanley Kubrick, I was rewriting stuff as we were going. I learned from him, from watching what he did, The Shining, how he changed things in mid-stride. And I started to see the project evolve in real time, in three-dimensional form. The script is just a map. It's a blueprint. It's not necessarily written in stone. So I realized I have a better idea now. I can change this. I can improve on the sequence. And so I was still writing the stuff as we were making the movie and rewriting scenes and adding stuff.
Yeah, you don't have to go you don't just bring the script and go line for line. You can, when it's your project, you can do that. But when you're on a different project, you kind of have to stick with what they give you, right?
It depends on who you're working for. Yeah, generally speaking, yes. Studios and television require the letter of the law. You stick to the letter of the law, you will offend the writer. But if you're working in the independent circle, it depends on who you work with. There tends to be more wiggle room to be inventive. A director will say, hey, Robert, whomever, if you want to improvise some of this or change some of this and play with it, feel free. They'll give you room. It all depends.
Is it a lot of improvising throughout?
Say again?
Is it a lot of improvising throughout your acting career?
No, I would say a lot of it was contrived because I didn't write most of the stuff that I appeared in. It was written by somebody else.
Yeah.
No, so I'd say 95% of what you see is not improv. It's all been preordained, predetermined, pre-whatever, in the minds of other people who thought, okay, Robert, we need you to say this. We believe in this mythos and do it. And so I did it. But like I said earlier, they can control what you say. They can't control what you think or how you manifest those words, man. That's what I learned in school. You can bring about a state of being that is contrary to what they write. That's why when someone walks in a room, they don't have to say anything. And you feel something. There's this whole dialogue happening without words. And so you have to learn to combine the spaces in which you don't speak with the dialogue that resonate something else, that lends a reality to these caricatures they make for you, or otherwise they're not real people. You've got to look at every single character they present to you as a real person, and you can't judge your characters, good or bad. You just look at them as people. And you breathe life into those pages and lift it up off the script into three-dimensional form. And what's going on behind your eyes and your spirit and your disposition, your psyche, the camera sees all that stuff. You just be the way you look at something, and people go, whoa. So it's not what you say. It's not how much you say. It's what's going on with you as you say it that makes impact. That's why performances are not necessarily the sum total of how well you memorize lines or how you look. It's what's the interior aspect of your being that you cultivate that resonates in that field of energy that people feel when they watch it, man. They're like, whoa. Or they laugh, or they cry, whatever the genre is, man. You've got to be fully present to that. And they can't control any of that, man. You do that. They just give you the map. They say, here's the lines, here's the circumstance, whatever, and then, you do your thing. And they'll tailor it to whatever their goal is in the editing room. And they might try to trim away what they feel is inappropriate or not in line with their what they envision the story or the character to be in the circumstance, but you still can slip it in there on them, man, in ways they can't edit out. And you learn these tricks when you realize they've built a stage of limitation around you. You say, well, how do I overcome that? How can I be clever enough? And I had writers come up to me and directors say, Robert, when we conceived this role, never in our wildest dreams did we imagine you adding these other elements to it. We didn't see the guy this way. Now when you're performing it or doing it, now we see aspects of the character we didn't write on the page. You brought a third dimension, a fourth dimension even, to the character that we did not see. So don't let them limit you. Why limit yourself? Just go as far with it as you can, man. And you might be surprised.
What was your
and
favorite
the worst thing
role?
they can do is just tell you, hey, man, don't do that. Stick to this, or do it this way. Or when you say the line, I need you to be more this, then you just do your job. You listen to what they tell you. People don't realize what they're watching is, it's not like you're painting a canvas by yourself. There's other hands on that canvas that affect the overall image. I go in there and there's all these other variables that determine the final product of the movie, the scene, all of that. The editors, all that.
Yeah. What was your favorite role?
I have to say, it's hard to pick one. I'd say I like a lot of different ones for different reasons. I like when I watch something and I can't recognize this guy, whoever this guy is. I did a movie called Bloodthirst, produced by Michael Mahal, Sonny Mahal, and directed by Michael Sue. And they put prosthetic and vampire teeth and a cape on me. And to me, it was like, I guess, the closest thing to be a superhero in the underworld. That was fun because when I looked at some of the clips, I couldn't find Robert in there. Like, where did Robert go? Between the makeup and the voice and the teeth and whatever I did, I kind of fall asleep sometimes into this, into this dream of the character, and then I wake up and then I watch and I go, oh, that's what I did. It's like you hypnotize yourself, and you lose sight of any reference point for this guy, and then you watch it. And so I'd say Bloodthirst was an example for me, at least, that I could transform into somebody else, not just by sheer disposition or tonality, but the visual aesthetic, man. I was like, whoa, wow, that's pretty cool. I can't find me in that anywhere. That's pretty cool. I like it.
Did you ever have a role you hated?
No, I can't. No, that goes back to my original philosophy about being grateful for work.
Yeah.
I haven't always liked having to work with certain people who were not nice to me. I would say hate is a strong word. I would say I was very uncomfortable in situations where people, actors or celebrities or directors, would lord their power over me and would say things that weren't very nice. But most of the time it was positive. I don't have a whole bag of experiences on set that were terrible. Only maybe a few here and there that were kind
or
of
maybe did you take a role and say, I shouldn't have took this role, maybe this one's not for me?
No, I don't. Like I said, I don't live with regret, man. Regret to me is a waste of time because you learn stuff. It teaches you things. So no, I don't feel that way about any of it. You can look at a victory and feel that way, because if you assign a conclusion to even your victory, then you fall into depression. The agony of victory can be just as equally hard to bear as the agony of defeat. I'll give you an example because I know it sounds a little bit kind of philosophical. So I saw something recently online with Mike Tyson. He was looking at a table of all his awards and his belts and everything. And hey, look at you, Mike, and look at all what you've won. You know what you did? He flipped the table over and he said, garbage. And he pointed out that he come to the realization about his life and what was really important to him. Whether it be love, his kids, whatever, something had more significance to him at this stage of his life. And that was just something he needed to do to work through the aggression, to take it and use it in a constructive way to become champion of the world. But now he looks at it and he sees, it doesn't mean anything to me anymore. I figured something else out about my life. I'm moving on now to another stage of awareness. So I feel the same way. I don't think that I can look back and despise anything. It doesn't serve you to do that. You look at it as steps in your evolution.
Maturing through the process, right?
Yeah, you just look at it. And it's uncomfortable. Evolution is uncomfortable, man. It can be, there are times in it where you lose face. You have to bear indignities. I remember going to countless auditions, man, even when I was getting jobs. And I remember some casting directors looking at me up and down, because back in the day, in the 90s, when I was auditioning, tattoos weren't popular. So I'd show up at auditions and casting directors would look at me and they'd say stuff like, you know, the messenger entrance is around back. And I say, I'm not here to deliver a package, ma'am. I'm here to audition. And I get that once over look, like, you know, I had the plague or something. And I was told, sit down over here. And some of these people were not very nice. And even actors at auditions would be rude to me and say, you know, stuff, make jokes to me. And I remember getting into a fist fight once with a guy because he was bullying me all the damn time. And I just said, hey, let's just take it outside. And he pushed me. And next thing I know, the sheriff was looking for me. I still got the job, though. But it was, you know, the sheriff said, listen, the guy may have pushed you and been bigger than you. And I said, well, the guy constantly bullies me at audition, makes fun of the tattoos. And, you know, I just can't take it anymore. So I asked him politely. I said, listen, if I hit you, will you sue me? And he started laughing at my face because I think he thought I was acting. I said, I hope this helps you with your process. I'm like, I'm not acting right now. I'm just telling you right now. If I hit you, I'm asking you, will you sue me? And he said, no, I'll just cut your guts out. I think he was acting at that point because I knew damn straight that he wasn't going to pull a knife on me and shank me right there. He was just, I think what he was doing was he was just trying to reflect something that he thought was happening. And he had no idea until I grabbed him around his neck and took him to the ground and started knocked his teeth out. And I don't condone that. I'm not proud of it. I just couldn't take it anymore, man. And so, you know, I remember some things that were really stressful that had nothing to do with being in front of the camera. It was all the stuff prior to getting the job that was trying to distract me, actors trying to talk to me right before I'm getting ready to go in and meet with the producer. I'm like in the zone, ready to fight, and I got somebody whispering in my ear, asking me questions about something, about a show I was on, or trying to, I don't know what they were doing. I was like, listen, man, can you just let me, please, I'm next. I can't have a conversation with you. So people,
You're trying to remember your lines.
I remember my lines. Yeah, because I try. A lot of these casting directors, Bill, they want you to be off book. Don't listen to what they tell you. You can hold the paper, but a lot of these directors and producers would really appreciate when you come in there, and they like that you hold the paper. But they want to know, though, that you know a lot of the dialogue. So if you're looking down at the page half the time, it's not as effective as when you come in there owning it, right? But if you're in the room getting ready to go in to fight the champion, so to speak, to get in there and prove yourself, and you got all this white noise trying to dilute your focus, you politely say to people, please, but not everybody understands or cares that they're interfering with your process. And so that part became very, very hard for me at times because, like I said, some of your so-called, I never, you know, people, my brethren, my fellow thespians. I believed that for a while until I came to the realizations there were no friends in this business. There were colleagues, but a lot of these people were not my friends. They, at every turn, I find somebody trying to say something bad about my tattoos. I belong in the circus, any number of things to trip me up mentally. So I would not be able to go in, and guys would come out of the audition and you look at everybody else and say, hey, y'all can go home now. The rest of you guys just go home. It got to a point when I realized how carnivorous the competitive process was when you sat in those chairs back in the day, and how guys would bring their grudges into the audition and purposely try to trip up other performers. So it was hard enough to do battle with yourself and calm yourself and be ready to stand in front of a firing squad, which is the casting director, the producer, the writer, et cetera, and show no fear and do your thing. Then you got people on the periphery trying to throw rocks at you while you're trying to do this tightrope walk.
And you got whatever you're dealing with in your own personal life, like baby's mom, a drama or something like that. Yeah. You know, anything.
For me, it was just other performers. I didn't have any of that, but I had, like, my enemy was myself at times and other actors. But that was a different time. People are nicer to me now, but not always, but mostly they are nicer to me now. And so it's just, you know, it was a period of time, man. Who knows why? And you go through it, and it's like courage under fire. If you go into a situation where you're the only one in a certain community, there's going to be prejudice. There's going to be people that aren't fair, that don't treat you fairly. there's a lot of stories along this line. I'm no special case, man. What it does is it just builds character, and you grow a pair, and you learn to just, man up and don't listen. You don't listen. You just ignore it, and you go in there and you getting the job is the goal. And then once you get the job, like I said earlier, you don't tell anybody, man. You can, but good luck. Be careful.
There's a lot of people out there like that. Oh, the bragging type.
Yeah.
They're all out there telling everybody everything they got going on.
Listen, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, man. I go on social media like everybody else, and I promote
I do too.
stuff that I'm in. But sometimes I got contracts that say, Robert, you have to post 5 times within the course of this dateline to help promote the movie. So I got directors, producers reaching out to me saying, can you promote this? I said, I'll be more than happy to. I'm proud of this. So I post stuff to help move the product along. So people that claim to be fans or like the work or that genre, even if they don't like me, they like this kind of movie. Well, I don't care. I like this kind of movie. Oh, you're in it? Cool. I want to see this because I like this sort of thing. You help spread awareness so that the people that made a damn thing can get their money back. It's just business. So there's a little ego in there, but it's also the necessity of creating visibility, unless you're, like I said, you're one of these corporations or you're a big celebrity that, you have a whole team of people that can throw $15 million at an advertisement campaign. But if you're just a worker bee like the rest, like we all are, you got to do it yourself, man. I don't have a team of publicists, man. It's just me.
Yeah, Ciro got his movie completed. You had a role in that. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That was a great
Ciro,
role too, man.
This, man. I don't mean to interrupt. Ciro, if you're watching this, it was great working with you, man. Yeah, congratulations. Let me tell you something, man. He's a force of nature, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a force of nature. He doesn't give up. Got to respect a man that stands up that way.
Just like you over your career, your persistence, it shows.
Thank you.
It really does. Your quality of work, everything. It gravitated towards me. I enjoy your movies. You stand out in the crowd. To me, you do.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, Bill.
Definitely. And I really appreciate you taking the time. And you're welcome back here anytime. I know you got a lot more information you could share with the people.
I don't want to bore your audience, man.
Oh, man, you've been great, man.
I'm just going to shut up.
You've been great. You've been pretty educational. And I think a lot of people will take a lot away from this interview.
I hope so. And but either way, regardless of what people take away or not, I'm just thank you for giving me the time and the attention to remind me that there's purpose to this life. Because I forget.
Definitely.
We all forget sometimes, man. What am I doing? Why am I here? Oh, okay, I remember now.
So where can the people see your any of your projects? I can put a link in the description.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Mob King, right? Ciro's movie. It's available on a lot of the platforms: Vudu, Amazon, Google, everything. And so that's available now. There's Johnny and Clyde, directed by Tommy DiNucci. That's available on Vudu, Amazon Prime, and all the other streaming platforms that star Megan Fox and Bai Ling and Avan Joji. I'm sorry, Avan, if I didn't pronounce your name right. Don't hate me. And then I got a new one that just came out called An Awful Thing Has Gone and Happened. That's available on Vudu. It just came out today.
You have a whole bunch that you haven't even aren't even on your resume yet. You have a lot that aren't even there yet.
Yeah, I don't want to be like one of those people, man, going down the list. When I hear myself say it, I'm like, oh man, you sound like one of those people, man, and going on and on about the resume. Shut up.
The resume is huge,
yeah,
man.
Whatever. I can't remember. I'm not, it's not in the forefront of my. I will say this. I will focus on what's coming. Like if something's in front of me, I'm going to notice it. But after a while, it just kind of, you forget. Everybody, more or less forgets. And then some things stand the test of time. Like you asked me, Robert, hey, man, tell me about this. There are things you remember because they sear their way into your psyche, man, or they're good memories or whatever. And you have an affection for them. So it's like, there it is, Do
you plan on directing more?
Yeah, maybe. Someone offered me something recently. I'm thinking about it. I don't know. We'll see. With respect to American Trash, it was a great process and great experience. It almost killed me, but nothing ventured, nothing gained. So, but we'll see. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Hey, man, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing it. You have a great day, man, and thank you so much for taking the time.
My pleasure, brother. Thank you for making me happy. We make each other happy, so thank you.
Definitely.
All right.
And make sure you guys hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And the link is in the description of this video. Till next time. Peace. Thanks, man. What's good, everybody? Thank you for watching that interview. I got a lot more dropping, and I changed up the studio. I got some new cameras, and things are going to be going to the next level. Thank you guys for joining me. Hey, sky's the limit. Stay tuned. A lot more guests going to be joining me, and I might go live later. I got some, I'm working on a show for tomorrow. It's a pretty big one. It's about a major news story that's in the news right now. It's a tragedy, but I have somebody with inside information who's going to come on the show and talk about that. I have some other shows lined up. So if you guys like this type of content, hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like it, too bad. Start your own podcast. But I appreciate every single one of you. Peace. And shout out to Robert LaSardo. Thanks for joining me, man.